Hi everybody, my name is Steph Koza, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about The Haunting of Hill House. The Haunting of Hill House is a Netflix original series. It is slightly based on the novel by Shirley Jackson of the same name. So the book was published in 1953. It's one of those classic horror novels. It's very much a psychological thriller. It really pulls you in mentally, and that makes it really hard to translate into a film sometimes. In 1963, it was transformed into a really spooky black and white film, and then again, in 1999, there was a very, very forgettable version remake with a lot of CG, and it was bad, and we don't talk about it. But also, just the story itself is very different. The book is about a group of people who go in for this psychological study to this house to kind of examine it, and that is very much not what this show is about. So really the only similarity is the character of the house, and I call it a character because it is very much a character. This is one of those stories where the setting plays a role, plays a huge role. It comes alive. It's like a character. The Hill House is a character. So let me just dive right in and tell you what this show is about. So the story basically follows this family who grew up in a haunted house and were now in the present day as they are grown up, and we're kind of following how growing up in a haunted house has affected them and messed them up in all sorts of terrible ways. And the story bounces back and forth between present day as they're all grown adults and flashbacks of when they were children living in this house and all of the terrible, traumatizing things that happened to them. So that alone I really enjoy, the format and the way that the story is told between like the back and forths, because it's a very slow progression and it's kind of like every episode sort of focuses on one character because there's so many characters. There's the mom, there's the dad, there are 2 brothers and 3 sisters. So every episode we kind of learn about each of them, and some of them have ghosts that haunt them, some of them have just like weird things happen to them, but they're all heavily affected by growing up in this haunted house in one way or another. And there's also a lot of mystery as to like what happened. There are certain situations where some people thought it was one thing, some people thought it was something else. You as the viewer don't really know who to believe or what to believe. You don't know if the dad's a good guy or a bad guy. You don't know what's gonna happen going forward. You don't really know what makes, like, time doesn't even really make sense. There's just a lot of weird things, and it's told really, really well because it's weird enough that you want to keep watching to find out what happens next, but it's not so weird that you don't know what's happening. And it's just really scary. I would say the first half of the show is terrifying because you're just in that state of unknowing. You have no idea what's happening or what's going to happen or what has happened. Later in the show, things get a little bit more explained and you're kind of a little bit more grounded in this world, and that makes things a little bit less scary. But the first few episodes, I was so scared. I would watch this show and go to bed and have nightmares and like wake up in the middle of the night just like freaking out because it was so scary. And there's so many like just creepy, disturbing images. Like, it's not like a stereotypical jump scare horror. There are like maybe 2 or 3 jump scares, but they're done really well. Like, bravo. I was so scared and they were not forced. They were in the perfect situation, done so well, and I really, really applaud that. But honestly, a lot of the stuff that scared me the most was like stuff in the background that wasn't even really like part of the main thing happening. And I've seen a lot of articles about it. If you're curious, you can look through the lists of all the photos and the screen caps, but basically there are a ton of shots where in the background, like very subtle, very hidden, there will just be like a face in the window or like a body like in a shadow, and they don't do anything. There's no purpose to them really other than to show that they're either in a haunted house or they're still being haunted out of the haunted house, and it's just so creepy. And they're just always there, they're always around, and it's terrifying to me. I personally loved this show. As a fan of horror and a fan of just good storytelling, I loved this from beginning to end. It was so good. There were so many parts where it would be like explaining something that happened or revealing a secret, and they were all done so well. And it was like one of those moments where I was like, oh my god, look at this. Do you see what just happened? And like I would just get so excited and I was just like, no way! What? A lot of those moments, and it was super fun for me. The acting from everyone is so incredible. You really feel connected to these characters. They're all very complex, all very well established and developed, and they develop over time, and they all overcome some kind of big change from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. The show also begins with the entire family not really talking to each other just because of what the house put them through and how much it changed their lives, and they're all kind of in denial about it, and they all just want nothing to do with each other, and they all kind of deal with it in different ways. But it's interesting to watch them grow and to watch them kind of become a family again, but struggle to get through life because of all the ridiculous things that happened to them and the terrible haunting things that occurred in this house. I highly recommend it. I had so much fun watching it. I was scared shitless most of the time, but in the most exciting kind of way. So if you're into that, I would highly recommend watching this show. It was also just a really emotional story. Like, it had a great balance of horror and being terrified and confused and just this constant feeling of dread, but also you're so attached to these characters that when anything happens, you are just so scared for them. And I felt so many emotions. I cried watching this show like a baby, but it's just an emotional, psychological roller coaster, thriller, horror. It's got it all. It was so good. I think I would give this show a 5 out of 5. I really would. I have been recommending it to everyone I know, even people that don't like horror, because it's just a great story, and it's a great show, and it's shown so well, and I just love it so much. So, yeah, 5 out of 5. There you go. Haunting of Hill House. Check it out if you have not checked it out already. It is great. That's it for my review of The Haunting of Hill House. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about it if you watched the show. Also, I'm kind of looking for some more creepy, spooky shows. There are a lot of horror movies, but not a lot of horror shows. So if you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments below. I would love to check them out. But that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!